Hello, I'm Henrik Ved Jensen, your host for the Circular Economy Excellencepodcast. In today's episode, we are exploring Chapter 7 of my book, where we dive into two essential circular strategies, refurbishment and remanufacturing, the fourth and fifth R's in my 1+5R model. To help illustrate this idea, I brought in two AI-powered minds to discuss the key takeaways from this chapter. Refurbishment and remanufacturing are game changers for manufacturers. These strategies take us beyond simple repairs and into full-scale product revitalization, where used products are restored to like new or even better condition. You will hear that the benefits are lower cost and higher margins compared to manufacturing entirely new products, access to price-sensitive customers who want high-quality goods at a lower price, stronger brand differentiation by offering certified remanufactured products, increased supply chain resilience by reducing dependency on raw materials and mitigating risks from market fluctuations. I also discuss how manufacturers can strategically integrate refurbishment and remanufacturing into their operations, whether through in-house remanufacturing, third-party partnerships, or market-driven approaches. Digital tools, logistics, and customer engagement play crucial roles in making these strategies profitable and scalable. So, get ready to hear my AI co-host explain how manufacturers can maximize product life cycles, increase profitability, and build a future-proof business through refurbishment and remanufacturing.
Welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're going to dig into a chapter all about giving products a second life.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is. We're cracking open Chapter 7 of Circular Economy Opportunities and Pathways for Manufacturers. You know that book by Henrik Ved Jensen?
Oh yeah, I've heard good things about that one.
It's a good one. This chapter dives into remanufacturing and refurbishment and how they're becoming like key players in the whole circular economy thing.
Right.
And I gotta admit, I'm curious, is this just a trendy buzzword, this whole circular economy thing? Or is it a legit strategy? I mean, can businesses really be sustainable and be profitable by giving products a second life?
Well, this chapter really makes the case that it's way more than just a buzzword.
Okay, good. So let's break this down. First things first, the chapter seems to use these terms, remanufacturing and refurbishment, kind of interchangeably. But what's the real difference? Like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, good point. It can be confusing. Think of it this way, like refurbishment is like giving a product a makeover. You fix the obvious issues, maybe swap out some worn out parts, get it looking good again.
Okay, I'm with you.
But remanufacturing, that's like a total overhaul. We're talking taking the product apart down to its core components, inspecting everything, testing, replacing or restoring parts to meet like the original performance standards.
So you're basically bringing it back to like new conditions.
Exactly. It's basically like new.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
But why go through all that trouble? I mean, wouldn't it just be easier and, probably cheaper to just make a brand new product?
That's what a lot of people think, but remanufacturing, even though it can be more labor intensive, it ends up using way less raw materials and energy, like way less.
Okay, so better for the environment.
Way better. This chapter, it actually throws out some impressive numbers. Remanufacturing can use like 65% to 87% less energy.
Wow.
And produce 85% fewer greenhouse gases compared to just, making something new from scratch.
Okay, so that's a big win for the planet, for sure.
Huge win.
But where's the profit in all of this for businesses?
Well, think about it. You're basically getting a second chance to sell a product you've, already sold once.
Right.
Plus, there's a growing market for this stuff, like high-quality remanufactured products, especially as people are becoming more eco-conscious and budget-conscious, honestly.
Yeah, true. Makes sense.
The chapter even mentioned that the global market for just refurbished electronics alone, it's projected to hit $94 billion by 2030.
$94 billion? Whoa.
So there's a lot of potential revenue there for companies willing to make the change,
Okay, so there's definitely a strong business case to be made here, but I'm guessing not every product is, suitable for this second life, right?
You're exactly right. Not everything is a good fit. Chapter 7 actually lays out this whole framework that manufacturers can use.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It helps them figure out which products are good candidates for remanufacturing. One of the biggest things is market demand, right? Like, is there a strong enough market out there for a remanufactured version of this thing?
Makes sense.
And then the material value of the original product, if it's made with expensive or rare materials, remanufacturing makes a lot more sense financially.
Oh, so you can reclaim those materials instead of starting from scratch.
Exactly. Could save you a ton of money on production.
That's smart. Okay, that all makes sense, but what about the design of the product? Like, does that play a role in the decision-making process at all?
Huge role, yeah. Products that are designed to be taken apart easily, what they call design for disassembly,
Design for disassembly.
those are way better for remanufacturing. There's a whole concept around this, design for disassembly, and manufacturers are starting to pay more attention to it when they're designing products.
Design for disassembly sounds like a whole other deep dive waiting to happen. We might have to add that to our list.
Yeah, for sure. It's a whole other rabbit hole. But anyway, back to product selection. So the chapter talks about Cummins, the engine manufacturer. They're a great example.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
They actually design their engines from the get-go to be remanufactured, like multiple times.
Bro,
They're planning for the circular economy right from the start.
that's brilliant. Okay, so we've talked about why remanufacturing is important and what kinds of products are best suited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about how companies can actually build a remanufacturing business. Like, where do you even start?
Right. Well, the chapter talks about a few different approaches. One option is to handle everything yourself. Build your own remanufacturing facilities, train your staff, manage the whole process from beginning to end.
So you've got complete control over everything. The quality, branding, the whole customer experience.
Exactly. But it does require a pretty big investment up front, facilities, equipment, personnel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And for some companies, it can be a big distraction from, what they're already doing, their core business.
Okay, so what are the alternatives if, like, in-house remanufacturing isn't an option?
Well, you could partner up with another company that specializes in remanufacturing.
Okay.
It's what they call third-party remanufacturing. You're essentially outsourcing the whole thing to experts, people who already have the infrastructure in place, the expertise, all that.
So that sounds like a more cost-effective way to do it. Less risky, maybe?
It can be, yeah.
But wouldn't you lose some control over quality and branding if you're relying on someone else?
Yeah, that's the trade-off. You're trusting another company to maintain your standards, which can be, a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, bet.
The chapter mentions that, having strong contracts in place is key, and obviously picking the right partner is crucial.
Makes sense. Are those the only two options then, or is there, like, a third way to do this?
There is actually a third way. The chapter calls it the market-driven route.
Okay, what's that?
It's where the manufacturer doesn't get directly involved, like they don't invest in remanufacturing themselves. Instead, they basically allow independent businesses to refurbish and resell their products.
Oh, so like those online marketplaces for refurbished electronics.
Exactly, like that, yeah. Or even used car dealerships, that kind of thing. It's kind of like a decentralized network of remanufacturers,
Right. But I'm guessing quality control is a big issue with that approach.
You got it. That's the biggest challenge. Quality can be all over the place, and you don't have as much control over your brand.
So it sounds like companies have some tough choices to make when they're figuring out their remanufacturing strategy. Does the chapter give any real-world examples of these different approaches in action?
Oh, yeah, definitely. For the in-house model, they talk about Cummins again. Remember them, the engine company?
Yeah, the ones that design for disassembly.
Yep.
So they have this whole network of facilities called Cummins Recon, where they use all kinds of cutting-edge technology to remanufacture their engines. Like, they even use robots for some of the more, intricate work.
Robots building engines.
Yeah. Pretty wild, right? It's for incredibly precise reassembly.
That's amazing. What about the other approaches? Are there any, standout examples for those?
Yeah, for third-party remanufacturing, they highlight Vestas, the wind turbine company.
Oh, wow, wind turbines.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They work with these specialized partners to refurbish their used turbines, and they've managed to achieve a 95% material reuse rate.
95%, that's insane.
It's amazing, right? And get this, these refurbished turbines, they can operate for another 15 years or more.
That is incredible. So what about the market-driven approach? Any, shining examples of that one?
Yeah, Tetra Pak is a good one. They're, the food packaging company.
They actually allow these independent companies to refurbish their machines and then resell them like as a sustainable and high quality alternative. And they provide like a lot of support for those refurbished machines to build trust with customers.
That's a smart strategy. It's like they get to tap into a wider market without all the risk and cost of doing the remanufacturing themselves.
Exactly.
Wow, it's fascinating stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking there's got to be some hurdles companies have to overcome. I mean, remanufacturing can't be all, sunshine and roses.
Or definitely not. There are definitely challenges. One of the biggest is finding skilled workers. This kind of work often requires some pretty specialized skills.
So like diagnose and repair, you mean?
Yeah, and sometimes even like upgrade complex products. You can't just hire anyone off the street to refurbish a wind turbine, right?
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like you'd need some pretty targeted training programs to build a skilled remanufacturing workforce.
For sure, absolutely. And then there are the financial hurdles. Setting up a remanufacturing operation, even if you're just partnering with someone else, it takes money, investment up front.
Right, of course. And what about the logistics of it all? I mean, getting all those used products back from consumers, sorting through them, transporting them, that whole reverse logistics thing, it just sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, the chapter actually calls it a logistical conundrum.
That sounds about right.
And for good reason. Managing that flow of materials, the reverse flow, making it efficient, keeping costs down, that's crucial if you want to make remanufacturing profitable.
Okay, so we've got the skilled labor issue, the financial hurdles, and the logistical headaches. What other challenges are companies facing? I feel like we're just, scratching the surface here.
Oh, yeah. There's still a lot more to unpack. We haven't even gotten into stuff like quality control and market positioning and how technology plays into all of this.
You're right. I'm already feeling kind of overwhelmed, but in a good way,
It's a lot to take in, but it is really interesting. It feels like we're seeing a real shift in how companies think about the whole life cycle of their products.
Absolutely. Let's dig into these other challenges after a quick break.
Sounds good to me. There's a lot more to discuss. Before we jump into quality control and all that, I think we should unpack this whole logistical conundrum a bit more.
Yeah.
It's not just about moving stuff around. It's a whole different ballgame when you're dealing with used products coming back from people.
Yeah, like the supply chain, but in reverse, right?
Exactly. It's called reverse logistics, and it can be a real headache for remanufacturers.
Okay.
Chapter 7 breaks it down, and it all starts with collecting those used products. You need a system to get them back somehow.
Drop-off points, maybe. Or working with retailers.
Yeah, exactly. Or even giving customers some kind of incentive to return their old stuff.
And I imagine the condition of those products is going to be all over the place.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Some might be in great shape, others could be totally trashed.
So how do you even deal with that?
That's where the sorting comes in. You need to look at each product and decide, is it good enough to be remanufactured? Can we salvage any parts from it? Or does it need to be recycled or disposed of properly?
Sounds pretty labor-intensive.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if the cost savings are even worth the hassle.
That's the big question, isn't it? And the answer, according to the chapter, is all about optimizing every step of the process. Like they highlight this company, Grundfos, they make pumps.
Okay.
And they have this program called Take Back, where they actually work with installers and wholesalers to collect old pumps.
Smart. They're using their existing network to make the collection process more efficient.
Exactly. And here's the really cool part. Grundfos has partnered with one of their big customers to actually buy back 10,000 pumps.
Wow, so they're creating a market for their own remanufactured products.
Yep. They're not just taking products back, they're finding ways to put them back into the market.
That's a perfect example of closing the loop on the circular economy.
It is. It takes a real shift in thinking, though, both for the manufacturer and the consumer.
Okay, speaking of consumers, let's talk about market positioning. Even if you've nailed the logistics, you still need to convince people to buy these remanufactured products.
Right. How do you get past that idea that remanufactured means lower quality?
Yeah, I've definitely been guilty of that thinking myself.
It's a common perception. But as people become more aware of the environmental impact of their choices, and as the quality of these remanufactured goods keeps getting better, I think that perception is starting to change.
Okay, so how can companies take advantage of that shift in mindset?
The chapter has some good strategies. One approach is to create a separate brand for remanufactured products so you can target a specific customer.
Okay.
Like they use the example of Caterpillar. They have their Cat Reman brand.
Right.
It's a way to set those products apart and target customers who are looking for value and sustainability.
So it's like saying, hey, this isn't just some used product. It's been remanufactured to the same standards as our new stuff.
Exactly. Another strategy is to offer different tiers of remanufactured products so you can appeal to a wider range of people.
Makes sense.
They talk about Dell. They have their Dell outlet where they sell refurbished computers, and they have different levels of certification based on how the product looks.
Oh, that's interesting. So you can choose the level of quality and price you're comfortable with.
Exactly. It's like buying a used car.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a fully loaded, pristine model, or you can go for something more affordable with a few scratches.
Good analogy. So it's about giving people choices and being transparent about the condition of the product.
Exactly. And of course, warranties and customer support are huge too. People need to feel confident that they're not taking a risk by buying remanufactured.
It's like you're saying, we stand behind these products just as much as we stand behind our new ones.
Right. And when you combine that kind of assurance with clear branding and transparent information, you can really start to change people's minds.
Okay, so that's all great for consumers, but what about actually ensuring the quality of these remanufactured products? I mean, you're working with used parts, there's potential for wear and tear, maybe even hidden damage. How do you guarantee that these things are going to meet the same standards as brand new products?
That's a huge challenge, and the chapter has a whole section on quality assurance. They really stress the importance of testing and inspection throughout the whole remanufacturing process.
Okay, so every component needs to be carefully checked.
Oh, yeah. Every single one needs to be examined and tested to make sure it meets the original specs. It's not just a quick fix-up job.
So it's a systematic approach to basically bringing the product back to its original functionality.
Exactly. And technology is playing a big role in this, too.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, they talk about how companies are using advanced diagnostics, 3D scanning, even AI, to spot any imperfections or potential problems.
Wow, so technology is not only making the process more efficient, it's also improving the quality and reliability of the products.
Definitely. And that focus on quality is key for building trust with consumers.
Makes sense. People need to see that remanufactured products are being held to the same high standards.
Absolutely. When that happens, they're more likely to make the switch.
You know, this has been a really eye-opening conversation. I'm starting to see remanufacturing as more than just a niche market. It feels like it could be a real game changer for the way we produce and consume things.
I agree. This chapter really drives home the idea that the circular economy is the future of manufacturing. It's not just a trend.
It's inspiring to see companies actually putting these ideas into practice. But we've only scratched the surface of what this chapter covers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's still so much to talk about, like this thing called part harvesting. Have you heard of that?
Part harvesting? Oh, what's that?
And the role of digitization in all of this, and how it could impact global supply chains.
Whoa, part harvesting. That sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
So part harvesting, it's basically like taking apart products that are at the end of their life, you know? But instead of just recycling the whole thing, you're salvaging any parts that are still good. Oh, okay. So you're kind of like rescuing those parts from ending up in a landfill.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a way to squeeze out every last bit of value before a product is truly done for. And it's not just like little things, you know, like buttons or screws. We're talking about complex components, circuit boards, motors, sometimes even entire engines.
And what do they do with those parts?
They can be used to repair other products or even repurposed for something completely different. Like the automotive industry, they do a lot of part harvesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll take parts from old cars that can't be fixed up and use them in machinery or industrial equipment.
So like a transmission from a total car could end up as part of a factory machine.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing. It's like giving those parts a whole new life and purpose.
That's a really cool concept. And I bet it's helpful for industries that are struggling to get certain materials right.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with all the supply chain issues happening these days. Part harvesting offers a more sustainable and resilient way to get those components. Okay, so we've covered remanufacturing, refurbishment, reverse logistics, market positioning, quality control, and now part harvesting. It feels like the circular economy is a pretty complex system.
It is. There are a lot of moving parts to manage, and that's where technology comes in. This chapter really highlights how important digitization is for making all of this work.
Okay, so how does technology fit into the picture?
Well, for starters, it's about making your internal IT systems more efficient. You know, remanufacturing involves a lot of data management, tracking products, assessing their condition, managing inventory, coordinating logistics, all that stuff. Having good IT systems is crucial.
So it's not just about the physical process of remanufacturing. It's about the data, too.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just your own internal systems. The chapter also talks about building a digital business ecosystem.
I got to be honest, digital business ecosystem sounds a little bit like a buzzword to me. Can you explain that in simpler terms?
Sure. It's basically about using technology to connect everyone involved in the remanufacturing process. The manufacturers, the suppliers, the logistics providers, the retailers, even the customers.
So everyone's sharing information and working together more seamlessly.
Exactly. Imagine a platform where manufacturers can track their products in real time. Repair shops can quickly order the parts they need, and customers can see the history of a remanufactured product before they buy it.
That would be amazing. It would create so much transparency and efficiency.
Right. And one of the most exciting things happening in this space is the development of digital product passports.
Digital product passports. I've never heard of that.
It's basically a digital record that contains all the information about a product throughout its entire life. The materials it's made from, the manufacturing process, maintenance records, even previous owners.
Wow, so it's like a complete digital twin of the physical product?
Exactly. And it's incredibly valuable for remanufacturers. They can see how a product was used when it was last serviced, what parts have been replaced, all that stuff.
That makes sense. So they can optimize their processes and make sure they're providing high-quality products.
Exactly. And for consumers, it gives them a lot more confidence in buying remanufactured. It's like knowing the car you're buying has a clean Carfax report. You know what you're getting.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I think digital product passports could really revolutionize the way we think about ownership and product life cycles.
I think so too. It's a really exciting development.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. Remanufacturing is clearly much more than just fixing up old things.
It is. It's a whole new way of thinking about manufacturing and consumption.
I'm really glad we had the chance to explore this topic. It's definitely given me a lot to think about. And to our listeners out there, we highly recommend checking out Chapter 7 of Circular Economy Opportunities and Pathways for Manufacturers for yourselves. It's packed with insights and practical guidance for anyone who's interested in learning more about remanufacturing and the circular economy. Thanks for joining us.
I hope you enjoyed that deep dive into refurbishment and remanufacturing. These strategies are more than just ways to extend product life cycles. They are key business opportunities that help manufacturers reduce costs, meet sustainability goals, strengthen customer relationship, and increase revenue. If you take away 3 key insights from today's discussion, let them be that refurbishment and remanufacturing offer cost advantages and new revenue streams. By restoring products instead of producing entirely new ones, manufacturers lower material costs and increase margins while appealing to new market segments. Technology and logistics are critical for scaling these strategies. Digital tools like digital product passport, reverse logistics network, and predictive analytics help companies efficiently manage remanufacturing processes. Brand positioning matters. Successful manufacturers differentiate their remanufactured products by offering certification, warranties, and strong marketing strategies to gain customer trust. If you want to explore this topic further, my book provides the full framework, case studies, and strategies to make refurbishment and remanufacturing work for your business. You can also find more insights and updates at circularpathwaysbook.com. So until next time, keep products in motion, keep value circulating, and keep building a more resilient circular future.